Hello and welcome to In the Huddle. I'm your host, JT Thomas, broadcasting live from the Greene Turtle Sports Bar and Grill. Ladies and gentlemen, we just watched the Mountaineers come off a big road trip. But before I go there, I want to go ahead and introduce all my friends here. I got Alex Shook back in the building. Alex has been a co-host with us for multiple years now, and we're glad to have Alex back. Then I got Gary Thompkins. Gary Thompkins has been with us from the beginning. He's been working real hard, and he does a great job for us. And we have a surprise for you this week. We got Troy Clemons. Troy is the Mountaineer. You guys give it up for Troy.
All right. Hey, thanks,
all
guys.
Alrighty.
All right. Get it going today.
He's going to fire that cannon off here.
Oh, yeah, we getting to fire that cannon. We'll all be firing out of here. Hey, but again, guys, I just wanted to, I'm really excited about this week. I'm glad, Troy, you made it. In fact, hopefully you brought some good luck with you because the Mountaineers are on a roll. They just got back from Lubbock. And I have to say, that was one of the better games that I've seen in a long time, Gary. I'm very excited about that. Before I get started, I want to talk a little bit next. Troy, a little bit about this Mountaineer mascot before we jump into football. Troy, so where are you from?
I'm from Greenbrier County, West Virginia.
Greenbrier County, West Virginia.
Yes, sir.
I got a few questions for you. Now, how did you become the Mountaineer?
So it starts out, and they send out the application, and every student's eligible. I believe there is a GPA requirement. It's maybe a 275, I'd like to say. Anybody can fill out that application. Maximum. Minimum. Gotta be careful there. Minimum of 275. Fill that out. Turn it in. It's about 6 essays.
Wow.
They're only a page long, and it's about West Virginia, about the university. So they're pretty easy to get through when because if you're trying out to be the Mountaineer, you already have a little bit of desire.
I had it all wrong, Troy.
Yeah.
I thought it was the deal where you had to grow your beard.
That's what I was
thinking. The statue. If you've ever caught a glimpse of the Mountaineer statue, it actually doesn't have a beard.
You're right.
It doesn't have a beard.
Right.
So the beard is a tradition. It started in 1960, I believe.
Okay.
It was when the first Mountaineer had a beard. It's been a tradition ever since then, but by no means is it a requirement. But so we do the essays. A couple recommendation letters go with that. Turn those in, and then they pick usually around 10 people for an interview.
Okay.
Those 10 go in, do the interview, and from there they'll narrow it down to the final 4, and that's when you finally get to do a tryout. All 4 of you go to the same basketball game, dress up as the Mountaineer, and you go. 2 of you go in the first half, 2 of you go in the second half, and you are the Mountaineer for that game.
Wow.
And they're scattered. Awesome. They're scattered around the Coliseum, watching you, judging you based on your performance, and then they'll add up your performances from the application to the interview to the tryout, and that's when the last home basketball game of the season, they'll announce who the Mountaineer is going to be for the next year.
Okay, so how long is the tenure for? How long can you be the Mountaineer?
So they go in 1-year terms, but you're able to try out for a second year. So it's a maximum of 2 years, but you have to try out for each year.
Congratulations.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You guys got any questions for the Mountaineer before we jump into this stuff?
No, nothing, but I'll tell you what, it's much more intricate process than I ever would have thought that it was.
For some reason, I just always equated it with growing the beard, and you better be able to do some push-ups.
Yeah, a lot of push-ups.
More than the facial hair.
Yeah, we got a lot of those push-ups in this weekend, and I hope I brought some back with Texas. Hopefully they made the trip with me.
That's awesome. That is absolutely awesome. Guys, I want to share with some information with you about the mascot that I learned. The tradition started in 1927 is what I read, and the first mascot was in 1937. And that gentleman's name was Boyd H. Slim Arnold.
Right.
Boyd H. Slim Arnold. Guys, you guys need to pay attention to this stuff. And I understand that that's where that tradition kind of just took off. And we're world renowned as the Mountaineers now. And I want to say you guys do an outstanding job, man. It's always nice to be in an event with the Mountaineer because he always, or she, because there's 2 she's in the history of the Mountaineers, they just do an outstanding job.
Yeah, and it's neat to go in there's only one per year, so it's neat. We have a wall of all the previous Mountaineers in the Alumni Center, so it's cool to go in, and they already have my name up on the wall, and I can go and see my name up on the wall with the other 63 Mountaineers that have come before me, and it has different things that they each brought, because the thing about being the Mountaineer is you get to be yourself, you get to interact with people, and you get to do your own thing. So the first Mountaineer to say, wear the coonskin cap, they have a little note beside his name that says this is what he did. One guy rode a horse, one guy ran around barefoot.
Wow.
The first female, Natalie Tennant. There's just anybody who kind of brought something different to the Mountaineer. They have little tidbits on that, and it shows you how the position has evolved to what it is today.
Now, that wall is at the Alumni Center?
That's at the Alumni Center.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So, guys, you make sure you go down to the Alumni Center, learn a little bit more of the history of the Mountaineers. As I said, I think it's a great tradition, and they all do a great job. But you're on a football show, so we're going to start talking a little football.
That's
right. As I mentioned, guys, the West Virginia Mountaineers, we went to Lubbock, Texas, and I have to say, Alex, we took care of business. Early on last week, Alex, I have to say we was really concerned that Texas Tech was putting up nearly 50 points a game. Although they had a small hiccup with Kansas State, we were really concerned about this being a shootout. What do you think about that, Alex?
Well, I think, the first couple games we're trying to find ourselves, and we won a game by gutting one out against Kansas State. Maybe we got a little bit of luck against BYU, the guy missing that field goal. So, I didn't know what to expect out of our Mountaineers, especially on defense against Texas Tech and that high-scoring offense. But, I think it was probably one of the best performances in all three phases of the game that we've had under Dana's tenure here, and really one of the best hitting games I've seen out of our defense probably since Dana's been here. And, hey, I heard Coach Nealon talking a little bit when you can run the ball and when you can play defense, and particularly when you can run the ball when they know you're going to run the ball, then you get a chance to be pretty good. So, I don't want to get too excited. I think a number 12 ranking, that's great. That's
Absolutely.
Super exciting. But we still have a lot of meat left on our schedule yet, starting with this TCU game coming up.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. Gary, you and I both being defensive guys, I was really excited about defense. Yeah, we put up some points, but defense held that team under 50 points. And when we start going through these stats, it's going to be real interesting when we start really getting to the nuts and bolts on what we were able to produce against Texas Tech. What do you think about that game? What do you walk away with?
The Mountaineers just had a really impressive showing. When you look at it, Texas Tech, we talk about the amount of points that they are able to put on offense, the passing yards the quarterback was able to amass against all the other teams this season. We really held them in check, and that's probably, as Alex said, as impressive of a showing as we've had so far this season. I really like what the defense has been able to do. I don't see any real superstars or showboats or anyone out there that really stands out, but that's fine with me. They're doing it as a team, and I like the unity that they're displaying, and I think they just really put it together this last week.
Troy, on this show I talk about how many guys, we lost a lot of guys last year, right? So you, for the most part, have some guys who've been in the system for some time now. They play well together. They tend to rely on each other. They are really in a situation where we're seeing team football. And I'm sure when you're out there that you see it, you hear the interaction, you hear that guys continually staying focused on their game. What do you think about when you're out there and you see them do what they do? What do you think?
I think we have some really good leaders. I know our defense is young. That's been reiterated thousands of times. Right. But we have some good leaders. I've seen, Al-Rashid Benton really stands out to me. He's stepped up, and he's matured so much, and he's really taken over the core of that defense. And what they did to Texas Tech, and you said it well, they hit better than they have in a long time. Other than Mahomes, which that guy's unbelievable. The way he can create, he can create more time in the pocket. Yeah. But other than that, they didn't miss tackles. They wrapped up well and pretty much pitched a shutout. You take away a 3rd and 29 Hail Mary and then a backup quarterback touchdown. That team comes out of there at the field goal, who in their last 9 home games that scored 50 points a game.
10 straight or 9 straight, something like that.
Yeah.
And then the offense, that's where you see the people that have been in those roles, and they can, especially the offensive line.
Right.
They creating that time for Skylar and letting him dish. We have a lot of options at receivers. All those guys are still growing, but just get it to them and let them. They're all so fast. They can make something happen. Just a matter of getting it to them.
We don't talk about them enough in terms of the offensive line, as you just mentioned, right? We had all times of we had a great support group with the offensive line. We don't talk about them enough. I think they've been consistent for the last 5 weeks. You've got to give it up for them types of guys. What do you think about them, Gary, the offensive line protecting Skyler as well as they do?
I actually think that these guys have been consistent, not just the last 5 weeks. We can actually go back into last year where we started having conversation about them being sort of the strength of our team, the most consistent unit. And, that's where football starts. I think it starts on the line of scrimmage, especially on the offensive line. You got a bunch of guys that have played together. They gelled together even when they had injuries or even a suspension. They tend to just fall in line and go with the team flow. That's just the nature of the position. You're not going to get the glory if you're wearing number 67. That's just what it is, Usually the glory goes to the guys wearing number 1, 2, 3, the single-digit guys. Yeah. Maybe a guy with his, number 20-something or 80-something.
When you're not talking about the offensive line a lot, because when you're talking about them a lot, it's usually because
they're messing up. They're giving up sacks
every time the ball snaps. So
and our guys really, they're not having those problems. They're not giving up a bunch of sacks. They're not causing problems.
Did they give up a sack at all? Did Skyler get touched at all on Saturday?
No.
And I think we're still single-digit sacks for the year. I think it's maybe down to 2 or 3, something like that. I know it's under 5. So I mean, we have a real strong line, and I'm just glad that they're holding the team down.
And I guarantee you, man, the guys watch Sports Center, right? Oh, yeah. They saw some of that stuff that was said before they got down. Now I'm sure somebody communicated that we were underdogs going on that game. And when you think about Skyler Howard, and the type of guy that he is, I'm sure he, as well as those offensive line, they had a mission. They were going in there really ready to prove the world that the Mountaineers was a competent football team ready to compete. Alex, the deal was we went there during their homecoming. We're in Lubbock, Texas, at their homecoming and really having our way with them. And I thought it started early. Started early with Justin Crawford, which I think that guy just the guy wants to score a touchdown.
That's right.
I mean, what do you think about this kid, Justin Crawford, coming in, being very productive, junior college guy?
Well, he's fantastic, and we saw a little bit out of Kennedy McCoy. Boy, he has a little slight shiftiness about him. He doesn't have any big flashy moves, but you see him make people miss. So I'm excited about all those guys. But I think Crawford, Shell, and McCoy, hopefully they're all healthy. I know I saw Crawford's ankle twist up underneath. I think pretty good there, and McCoy dinged his shoulder, but they really complement each other nicely with Shell being the power guy and Crawford and McCoy having a little more breakaway bit about him. And also Crawford's been a good receiver out of the backfield as well.
We talked about Crawford early on and Crawford's ability to help Shell be a better ball player. Right. In fact, he did. I mean, Shell was able to run for over 100 yards. It's the first time in this season that he's gone for over 100 yards. Been just very productive, Gary, what do you think about that?
Well, you need athletes to push you. That's what a team does for each other. It's just like a brotherhood. You get in there. You guys are sweating together. You guys are practicing hard together. You're lifting weights. You have all this time together. You sort of build some unity. And so what happens is I start to want to see you do well, but I'm going to push you. So when I get my opportunities, I'm going to do the best I can with the football, just to challenge you to say, hey, listen, I just got 25 yards last quarter. Can you beat that? And I think that's what we see with this team. I keep focusing on the team concept. It seems like the guys that we have here are really doing a good job gelling together. I think that's what uplifted us against BYU. I think that's what uplifted us against Kansas State. And I think that's what's been happening with our team. We're building each game. And I think with this, the way that we're building each game, we're actually taking on the team concept. We're becoming a little bit closer, and we're going to be able to fight out win those tough games that you have to fight and strain a little bit harder because we've kind of been through it already.
Yeah, Troy, when you think about, we know Gary and I, we've been a little tough on Russell Shell, right? Mm-hmm. We wanted Russell Shell really to step up as a fifth-year guy and really do more. And it seems to me that he's comfortable with his role. He kind of know what he can do.
Yes.
When it's time for him to step up, it seems like Russell Shell has really stepped up for his team. He's ready to come in this second half of the season and really get it going. I'm really proud of those guys. What do you think about Russell Shell?
Yeah, and he said it best himself when he feels like when he comes out of the game that Crawford or even McCoy can come in and he has so much confidence in them that they're going to pick up right where he left off, and that's huge. That's huge as an offense to know that your guys believe in each other, and they're out there competing every snap, but they also know that when they need a breather, they can come out, let some fresh legs go in, and you see that a lot as we rotate our backs between drives. And the way that Shell has been a leader but not been an aggressive leader. He's the type of leader who steps back and lets the offense take its course, and whatever the game calls for, he will adapt to that, and he lets it happen instead of.
That's the great thing about our team, man. I'm telling you, when we talk about buy-in, right? Every coach wants his team to buy into his program. Many of these guys are Hogerson guys, right?
That's right.
Those guys that he brought in, they really brought into the season. They're team guys. Guys, I want to jump into the stats real quick. 650 total yards, total offense. 650 yards, Alex. That's a lot of football.
It's almost a mile, isn't it? I don't know, half a mile. Yeah, the credit goes to our offensive line there, and when you can run for over 300 yards rushing, you're going to win every time. Every time. And then the quarterback's not getting touched. I mean, he's unmolested. He looks like Doug Flutie and Joe Montana back there. That they couldn't touch him. And then we just did whatever we wanted with the football. And we talked about balance and being able to run the ball when teams know you're going to run the ball, and being able to throw it over top if they want to load the box up. And I like to hear what Coach Holgren says about balance too. Balance is taking what they give you. It's not necessarily having a 50-50 run split, but taking what they give you. And this team has some dangerous weapons on the outside. The running game's been solid. The offensive line looks good. So I think it sets up nice with the meat of our schedule coming up to see how we're going to do against a team like TCU. Some of the better teams come into Morgantown.
Very balanced, Gary. It's very balanced split in terms of passing and throwing. 300-some yards passing, 300-some yards rushing. As Alex just mentioned, I mean, it's just the perfect scenario in terms of the complete game. In fact, Coach Hogerson mentioned that this has been our most complete game to this point. When the team gets to this kind of groove, where do we go from here?
Well, I think you just keep building on what you have. The West Virginia team has a lot of weapons on offense. We have a lot of wide receivers. I'm happy to see Durant getting back into the flow of things. I'm getting to see him get the football a little bit more this season, a little bit more the last few games. I think that just adds another weapon to our repertoire. I think you just try to make sure that you minimize the turnovers, which we have done this year, minimize the sacks, you keep the quarterback protected, make sure that Skylar Howard doesn't get hurt, and you keep building on what you have. I think that's the perfect, we've shown that we can put up a lot of points. We've also shown that we can put up a lot of yards. I think we're 600-plus yards 4 out of the last 6 games going to the bowl game. So you just try to build on that and make your team stronger and continue to build on your depth.
I couldn't agree with you more. When I think about where we are as a ball club, Troy, this is the first time West Virginia's been 5-0 since 2006, right? Since 2006, we were a 5-0 team. People are concerned about. You start to thinking, are we going to find ourselves in a letdown situation? I feel like we are a better team because we struggle early on in the season, and this is at the right time that we are in a position to be 5-0. What do you think about the attitude of the team? Are they walking with their heads up high, or are they even keel? What do you think?
I think they've got a pretty even keel. They heard Friday night, Saturday morning, you're reading about how bad we are. ESPN's down on us, Fox is down, everybody's down on us. And then all of a sudden, Saturday night, we're going to play in the college football playoffs. So the same guys who are saying that we're not going to be anything, we're going to lose to Texas Tech, all of a sudden one game and they're saying we're going to be college football playoffs. They were wrong whenever they were saying we weren't going to be a contender at all. I think we've solidified ourselves as a contender, and now they could be wrong saying that we're going to be a superior contender. So you have to do. They're the ones who go to practice together every day. They see each other play. They know what they're capable of. And if you play within the confines of your offense, like you guys were talking about, the diversification that we have, we can beat teams in different ways. And they know that, and they know that if they get behind, like we did against Kansas State, we can completely change our game plan, come out in the second half, and put points on the board and make stops when we need to. And that's because when a team figures out, if you're a one-dimension offense and a team figures you out, you're going to struggle. And we saw that in the past. And this year we've added that extra dimension, whether it be a better run game or more offensive line or a different style of defense, whatever it may be. We've got that another dimension to we get our backs against the wall, we have a way to get ourselves out as opposed to before. And I like what you guys are saying about the offensive line, because we have a lot more confidence wearing those white jerseys this year than Skylar Howard. And he's not getting that thing dirty. He's not getting dirty at all. I'd like to be the equipment guy. I mean, he's got it a little easier.
I hear you. Well, guys, we're going to take a break right now. This is a little thing we do, Troy. We do a trivia question. And I remind people, we're down here every Wednesday at 6 p.m. at the Greene Turtle Sports Bar and Grill. To come down, you come down here, we do a lot. We do these trivias. I'm missing my balls. My footballs. Where's my footballs? I mean, hey, okay, we've thrown them all out. But listen, this is the trivia question for today. Could you tell me when was the first year the Mountaineer mascot tradition started? If you were listening closely, I said it at the beginning of the show. The first year the Mountaineer tradition started. If you raise your hand, we got a hand. Oh, yeah. And this young lady here, she does a great, she's
on top of it.
1937.
Oh, it's a little bit off.
Yes.
A little bit off. That's the first year they was named.
Officially selected.
That was officially selected, the first Mountaineer, which was
That's close enough.
Slim Arnold.
That's close enough.
Yes.
Slim Arnold. But
she is close enough. And technically, she's right. That's the first time we had a mascot. Okay. So you're good to go, and you are consistent. I like that. Yeah. So let's make sure we give her something. Here we go. We got your checker set. All right, we got the checker set.
West Virginia Mountaineer
checker set. Thank you so much. She pays attention. She's here every week. Great deal. All right, guys, I just want to remind you, we're here every Wednesday at 6 p.m. at the Greene Turtle Sports Bar and Grill. If you don't catch us here, make sure you go check us out at the DominionPost.com. DominionPost.com. Look under the football section. We'll always be there. Guys, let's jump back into it. Here we go. We talked a little bit about defense. We talked a little bit about offense. We want to start talking about some specific players. There were multiple receivers I thought just did very well this game. You got K-Ron White. Yes. You got DeKeel Short, who went over, I think he got 99 yards off of 4 catches.
Yes.
Something along those lines. You got a trio, a quad of receivers that we hadn't seen in a while. Right. I mean, I just think Alex, to have the kind of receivers we have, certainly complements what Skylar's doing.
Yeah, and it helps that Skylar's really matured into this position, matured into this offense, and this is really part of the total package. I will say we are going to be tested more than we've been tested on the back end of this season than we have so far. I mean, we're going to face some of the better defenses in the Big 12. I know they say nobody plays defense, but I guarantee Baylor's going to have good players. TCU's going to have good players. Oklahoma's going to have good players. Every one of them, Oklahoma State. So it'll be interesting to see what we can do this week against TCU. It's a team that's really kind of had our number the last couple of years. Have found ways to squeak out games. They thumped us last year, but the year before that, I think it was a nail biter at home, and then the year before that, another nail biter. So it'll be interesting to see. But it's just part of the total package. Like I say, we got balance in terms of offense, good line, good running game, good receivers, good quarterback. It all sets up for an explosive offense when you can do those things.
You know, you have so many weapons. I saw so many formations, Gary, that I don't feel like I saw this year. I mean, we just kind of came out with all kinds of stuff. I saw quads and open. I saw trips. I saw the play we did with Tavon Austin where we had Durant turn it up. Right. You know, we kind of opened the can on them this time, Gary. Perfect
time in the season to do that. You got five weeks in. We've had two bye weeks, so I guess a little more than 5 weeks in. But we've had 2 bye weeks. The first one I think was more about hey, let's get it together, guys. Let's try to make some adjustments. Let's see what we got. Let's see how we can make this team work. By the time we got into that second bye week, okay, we have an idea of who we have here. We put Durant back into the mix of things. We recognize we've got tons of receivers who can make some plays for us. We've got 3 capable running backs that can make sure that we can get some good yards rushing in case we needed to do that. And we have a bunch of different ways that we could set up that offense. So I think right now what we have is just a team that really we can go either way we want to. We can become a little bit more pass heavy if we need to. We could become a little bit more run heavy if we need to. And that's the beauty in just having those options. Now we can go out there and open up the playbook, play with it a little bit, see what works, give TCU something that they haven't seen before, and who knows, later in the season, give Oklahoma something they haven't seen before, and all with the same number of guys that we have here that can make plays for us at any time.
And that's what I think we have, Troy. I just think teams are going to have to slow down, right? They're not going to be able to pin their ears back and come after it because they don't know what they're going to get, right? From week to week, if you scouted us early and watched us play very conservatively, this Texas Tech game makes you wonder what West Virginia is capable of. What do you think?
Yeah, going back to the formations, before we would have maybe a pistol set with the 3 backs around and run some sort of an option out of that. Wow. I think in the last 2 games we've scored on the power T, just swinging, put 3 guys right behind the quarterback and let them go whichever way they may. And we've ran a lot of screen passes in history, but now we're running it out of the trips where you swing the guy out and set him behind the blockers. We scored on that against Texas Tech.
Put 2 fullbacks out there.
Put 2 fullbacks out. Put Elijah Weldon out there.
Yeah.
Put whoever you want out there, and they're gonna block for it and get us into the end zone. That's what you've seen. That's what you've seen a lot of, is just finding ways to maybe get misdirection, but you get your blockers, not only your linemen, but like you said, the fullbacks or the tight ends, whoever it may be, get them swinging out and setting some things up pretty differently. And
our fans got it. We appreciate this. The players, people who watch that game very closely. You appreciate seeing all these different formations because it takes a lot of work to be able to get there, right? You know that these guys are putting a lot of time to be able to be productive when you're trying those type of plays. This isn't something, we're not saying that our team's drawing stuff up in the dirt.
Right.
This is something they've worked on for a while, man, and I'm really excited about it. I mean, if my facial expression don't get across, I'm excited about the Mountaineers and this newfound vibrant step that they have. I'm really excited about it, guys.
Yeah. Look at that. It really, says about the team is 2 things. Is one, you got a smart football team. Because you can't put a lot of plays out there if you got guys that don't really know football or they can't learn the plays, okay? And then 2, what that says is I trust my teammates, and from a coaching standpoint, I trust my players. And so those are 2 intangibles that really not every team can have. I trust my team, and I've got a smart team. I tell my son, I teach him, the smart man wins in life, no matter what. So there we have a smart team, so I think it puts us ahead of the game. And the second thing is just, hey, I can trust you. When I put you out there, you're going to know what to do, and I'm going to be able to count on you, and I think that's a great thing to have.
Yeah, I agree. One component of football that we always struggle with on our show, Troy, is special teams, right? But I have to say I'm not too upset about special teams because I saw our young kicker do well. He was 2 for 3. But for the most part, he's been pretty consistent. One little tidbit of information that I read, that all 3 of our guys in the kicking game are from West Virginia, which I think is great. I'm excited for them. I suspect that we'll see them continue to do well. I mean, so I'm not too pressed about special teams right now, although we talked about it last week, and we were concerned that we were kind of conceding that special teams. But are you concerned about it, Alice, at this point, special teams?
Our coverage has been decent. I mean, it's been better before. It's been a lot worse before. Our return game's been decent. We're fielding punts from time to time, which was something we had a lot of trouble with. Obviously, our kicker, Molina, he's going to be pressed into service at some point where he's going to have to make a 45-yard or a 50-yard field goal. And, he hasn't had the opportunity to show that he can do that yet. And he's done a serviceable job kicking on kickoffs. He's kicked a couple out of bounds, and he's acknowledged that's unacceptable. You can't do that to their defense. But the punting unit's been pretty solid. Is it the Kenny boy? He's from Morgantown, right?
Yes.
Been doing a pretty good job. So overall, special teams has been it hasn't been killing us.
Right.
And we've been holding our own at least with that. So that's been an improvement since some of the stuff we've seen in the near past.
I agree. I mean, that's what, Gary, we hate to talk about it. We talked about it last week in terms of maybe we need to see some starters doing some stuff on that. And I certainly like to see Jawan Durant back there fielding some punts or kicking off. But again, I'm not going to complain because it's like Alex just mentioned, it's not killing us, not hurting us yet. Although I certainly don't want to concede punt return on special teams.
Well, I don't want to concede any part of special teams because it's such an important part of the football game. It can really get you in trouble real quick. But I'm not concerned about the special teams, at least not as much as I was at the beginning of the season. And that's simply because just like with every other part of our football team, it slowly improves and it slowly has been improving throughout the season. And each week I see something just a little bit better. This past week, offense did a fantastic job. Defense did a phenomenal job. And the special teams wasn't quite on the same level as the offense and the defense, but they picked up from where they picked up and their level of play from the previous games. So I just continue to I'm just going to continue to watch them. As the team's been growing, I think the special teams were growing. At least that's my hope.
Right. Troy, what do you think about special teams? I mean, on this show, we've been having a rough time dealing with that question.
The punter, he's been kicking the heck out of it, man. He's been pinning them deep. That's been pretty instrumental in getting our defense off to the good start that it's been off to, is keeping them deep in their own zone to start those drives. Going into Texas and kicking Texas Tech, Lubbock, Texas, the western end of Texas, we've all seen the last 2 games we've played there in the wind and how big of a factor it plays. And that first field goal, there was a little bit of crosswind, so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt on that. And I could hear the people behind me, watch out for that West Texas wind. They were yelling at them a little bit, giving a little fair warning about it. And it was definitely there. Not as bad as years past, but the wind was there. As far as kickoffs go, it's such a good sign. We can kick it out of the end zone. And like you touched on, the ones that go out of bounds, that's something that we'll have to correct as we get into the thick of the schedule here, because you can't give up those yards that easy, and the punt returns. As far as the kicks you have to cover, those are the ones that we've struggled with the most. When the ball's not being kicked out of bounds on punts, we got to cover that a little better, and on the kickoffs we got to cover that a little better.
Right, and I agree. I don't want to say one way or another, but I think we're in a better situation than we were with special teams. They're doing a yeoman's job. I mean, I think they are getting it done, and I think the good thing about it is they feel like they have a defense that will bend and not break and really dominate when they have an opportunity. That gives you a little bit more confidence when you're on that special team. But guys, let's keep it moving. We're going to get ready to go in TCU. But before we do that, I do want to announce that we had Skylar Hira, who was the Big 12 Player of the Week, as well as Russell Shell, who was the offensive champion. And the defensive champion was Sean Walters. Sean Walters with the big interception.
That's right.
At the beginning of the game. It was really excited to see Sean do so well. Guys, I want to tell you at this time, we're here every Wednesday at the Greene Turtle Sports Bar and Grill. If you don't catch us here, make sure you go check us down at the Dominion Post. So here we go. We have another trivia question for you. And again, to win these trivia questions, all you have to do is listen very closely to what I said. I mentioned the Mountaineers having a large number of total yards. I'll give you, make it a triple ABC question. All right. So the yardage is A, 600 yards, B, 650 yards, D, C. Oh, you're wrong. B, 650, C, 700. All right, A, 600, B, 650, C, 700 yards of total offense. And if you were listening to me, you would have heard it. A, B, or C, 600, 650, 700.
There's only 2 other. You might as well take
There's only 2 more.
What you got?
Did I?
Yeah.
650.
650. There you go. You're right on it. All righty. You get a 1-year subscription of the Dominion Post. Here you go. Thank you very much. All right, again, guys, to win, you have to come down here. Every Wednesday, we're here at the Greene Turtle Sports Bar and Grill. Come on down and check us out. Guys, let's keep it moving. As you know, guys, we got a big game coming up this weekend. We're going to finish up with TCU, with Texas Tech, and jump right into TCU.
Okay.
Right? TCU has been a thorn in our side, Alex. I mean, it's been, we started off early in 2012 and started playing in the Big 12. Very competitive against them. They beat us last year, Alex, 40-10, down in Fort Worth. What do you think about TCU coming in right now?
Well, we've had some trouble with them. I mean, in the year before that at home, I think we had them down, and they got a long pass at the end of the game, something like that. And wasn't there a double overtime game in the mix there somewhere where they squeezed one out? So, we owe them one. They thumped us last year. I don't believe it was even a ball game at any time after the opening kickoff. Yeah, well, thank goodness he's gone. Right. They got the guy, Kenny Hill, I believe, is an A&M transfer, and he's made some mistakes. I think he's thrown some balls, thrown some interceptions. It's kind of confounded the coach a little bit, but he's a guy that's dangerous with his legs, and they always have fantastic skill players. And I think the focus of their offense is they want to throw it around a lot. They don't run the ball with as much. Right. It's not a big a part of their offense as maybe it was in the past. They want to line up really fast and throw it like a lot of these Big 12 teams do. So, they lost the game early on against Arkansas, which was a close game. It might have been overtime or came down right to the last minute. And then Oklahoma beat them a couple weeks ago. So, they've got a couple losses, but against two pretty good teams. So, I think we have every reason to believe that this is going to be the best team on both sides of the ball probably we've faced so far this year.
Absolutely. These two teams, I mean, we see TCU as potentially being similar to the Mountaineers, as well as Coach Hogerson and Coach Gary Patterson, right? They've been competing. We're 3-1 right now. Coach Hogerson is 3-1 against them, and thank you. We're 3-1 against them, and I think we're catching them at the right time. TCU is coming off a win with Kansas,
right?
A close win with Kansas, which means that they're right for the picking if they continue to play like they are. What do you think about them coming in this Saturday?
Well, first off, good thing players graduate because the quarterback they had last year gave us a lot of trouble and really made us look bad, even to the point where Coach Hogerson caught some slack about giving them a high five on the sideline. So I'm glad players graduate. For us, though, I think our team's, I won't say peaking, but I think we'll continue to progress. And this is the right type of game for us because, as I mentioned last week, what I see our team doing is every week we play a team that's a little bit better than the team before. They're giving us a little bit of a different challenge. And with those different challenges, we get to see our team tested. We've had a close game. We've now had a game where we can actually put both offense and defense together so that we looked a little dominant on both sides of the ball. And I think that this team that we have coming in here is going to be a good team. That's the one thing that we can no longer look for sort of those easy wins. We can't have a bunch of mistakes. We can't just concede special teams. We can't just concede some series on offense. Instead, what we're going to have to do is we're going to go out there and play more of a complete game, I believe even more than what we saw last week. And we're going to have to make sure that we don't have that one mistake or two mistakes that we tend to have on special teams per game. If we could do that, I honestly think that we beat this team convincingly. And I know a lot of people may not think so or want to hear that, but I just do honestly think that we have the better team right now.
And I agree with that. I mean, and we plan them here, Right. We're going to be in your house with your 60,000 plus preparing for TCU. Troy, that environment is unlike any other. When teams come in to play at Mountaineer Field, it's an environment unlike any other. We're peaking. We're at the right time. We're 5-0 at the right time with TCU coming in. What do you think about this upcoming weekend's game with TCU?
Yeah, I think that the crowd's going to be huge. We got to pick up right where we left off with Kansas State. The crowd was an astronomical difference maker as we came down the stretch in that game. It was relatively quiet for the first half, middle, third quarter, but then once we started moving the ball a little bit, that place has been as loud as it's been in a really long time, which is really encouraging. and then we go down to Texas Tech, and what we did to them is what we can't allow happen to us. That's a pretty hostile environment in Lubbock, and it can be that way, and it's been that way the last 2 times we've been there. And we went down there on their homecoming and just took it to them right off the bat. They went 3 and out in their first series, and then we scored a touchdown. That's the kind of start that we need to get off to, or at least prohibit TCU from getting off to, in order to keep the crowd engaged and get the momentum already going in our way. Because when you get that many people in there, they're going to be screaming, they're going to be yelling, and we need to keep that for a whole 60 minutes, and we should. That should contribute a lot to coming out victorious, especially with Kenny Hill being in his first year of that new offense. Mm-hmm. That's going to be something he's still learning. He's showing growing pains. Absolutely. And you prohibit the communication. You take their communication away even the lightest amount, and that's going to help us out as he tries to get the signs from the sideline or whatever it may be, communicate to his receivers, because they do throw the ball a lot, and that requires a lot of communication with your receivers. And crowd noise is definitely a factor in
that's your job too.
I was just going to say that. I was going to make a direct appeal to the fans. Help Troy out. Troy's going to be getting you up.
Help me out, because I'll tell you, at Texas Tech, we travel well, but I felt a little bit outnumbered there. And I know on Saturday we're not going to be outnumbered, so I don't want to feel like I'm outnumbered. I want to feel like I'm the only one yelling. I had to take my buckskins to the tailor the other day. I jumped up on the wall at the end of the Kansas State game and ripped them right down the middle. So hopefully we get some more of that excitement back in Milan Pushkar, and we can continue that for the last 7 games we got.
Guys,
here.
You got it right here first for the Mountaineer. He's asking for your help. So on 3rd down and 3rd and 5 or so, make sure you're very loud so we can do everything we can to be that 12th man for the Mountaineer this upcoming Saturday at 3:30 p.m. at Mountaineer Field. Guys, I mean, this game, I sit back and I think about what the score was last year, 40-10. We didn't score. We scored in the second quarter. So we went 3 quarters without scoring a point. 0 the first quarter, 0 the third quarter, 0 the fourth quarter. This team will be looking at that game film, Gary, as you and I both know. Oh, yeah. You're going to be looking at that game film, and you're going to want to do a few things a lot different from last year.
Well, you're going to do something different because you're going to want more than 10 points. It's going to take more than 10 points
Absolutely.
to win this football game. The other thing about that is I think the team itself will react differently to TCU coming in here. One, you got the Mountaineer crowd backing you, and whatever you want to say about the crowd, whatever you want to say about student section or whatever, our football team, our football fans understand the importance that they have when it comes to being in that stadium at 3:30 on a Saturday afternoon. So I think our fans will be present. I think our fans will be ready. I think the students will be ready. Everyone will have the right atmosphere for this game. As far as the team, you're going to want some get back. You know, you're going to want some get back. You know you just put up 41 points. You know that you've been climbing week after week. You got a little bit of confidence, and I think they're confident. I don't think they're a cocky team at all. I think they're pretty level-headed. But I think they're confident enough to say, we can beat you, and we can beat you convincingly in our home stadium, which gives you just a little bit more of a push. And I just really like the fact that this is on our home turf. And I think that with the emergence of Skylar Howard, I mean, you can keep looking up. We talk about a lot of guys. We talk about our running back trio. We talk about the weapons we have at wide receiver. And even we sometimes mention our offensive line. But I don't think we've spoken enough about Skylar Howard and what he's doing for this team right now. He's not throwing the ball away. He's hitting the deep middle passes. All of these what am I trying to say? All the times that we have complained about where he's missed or where he's hurt the Mountaineer team, he's gone and he's fixed those things. And so I really like the fact that he's done that, because that what he's going to take into this game is going to just give us a more of a weapon, more of a confidence. And I just think we're just ready for a big showing this week.
He's a leader now, too,
yes.
And he's leading by example. And I think the team, it seems like, has taken on some of his mentality, that a little bit of a chip on the shoulder, having always been disrespected. And we've probably got a lot of guys on our teams, and all of the good Mountaineer teams always had that little bit of a chip on their shoulder, that we were a defensive-oriented, run the ball when we want to run the ball kind of team. Right. And, I think that starts from the top up, and I'm sure Skylar is probably the number one leader, at least on the offensive side of the ball, along with Orlovsky, who's another, he strikes me as a tough guy with a chip on his shoulder as well.
You know, one thing about the Mountaineers, and I often say this, I like to say it, like, we like going in as the underdog. Although we may be favored here, but we don't want that. We want to go in as the underdog. You coming in here thinking you're going to beat us. And, I mean, that's just a position that we like to be in as players. So all the stuff that's being said now on these sports shows in regard to where we are and how good we are, how not good we are, we embrace that. We embrace that. We got that mentality of
you got to act like you're disrespected.
Absolutely.
Even when you're number 12 in the country, they're looking down on us.
They absolutely are. So our Mountaineers are certainly getting. So I think about, and I wanted to mention this. I think about our man walk, right? This is just a great mentality of our Mountaineer Ball Club. We come up, we touch this black rock that symbolizes coal miners going to work. And I feel like when we come to that Mountaineer Stadium and we do that man trip, it's called the man trip, we touch that rock and we prepare to go to work. And that's what I like about our Mountaineer Ball Club. And Saturday, I suspect TCU need to come here and ready for a dogfight.
That's right.
What do you think?
I think this, like, we have that saying that says, this is West Virginia. Right. That's what it is. And when you're talking about that, you talk about toughness, you talk about grit, you talk about hard-nosed community, hard-nosed people, and a hard-nosed football team. That's what West Virginia is. That we take on the mentality of the state. We take on the mentality of the community. That is something I think that we all like about it, because that's what football is. That's what West Virginia is. I think it's a great characteristic to have.
Yeah, we've got, you've heard it from Cliff Kingsbury after the game. You heard it from Patterson leading up to this game. Teams have to match our intensity. And when you come out of the gates, so far they haven't been doing a good job of doing that. And because we just have that drive, we have that passion that they've been behind the 8 ball and they want to get themselves out from behind it. They don't need anybody to tell them they're out from behind it. They know whenever they got to go out there and perform that it's just them. You don't have analysts there that are coaching you. You can let them do what they do, and we know that we got to go down there and we got to show people what we've been working on for the last few weeks, the last few months. The bye weeks have been huge for us as far as, like you said, the first one, fixing mistakes, the second one, implementing even more. Right. And we have to just go out and show people that we're out here working hard and going to try to get a Big 12 championship and see what comes after that.
Right. I agree with that. Guys, it's time to give away something. So this is a very easy one. All I want to know from you, and what we got here, Eric, we have
Stripe the Stadium.
Stripe the Stadium. Ooh, those are pictures, which I want one of those one day. Hey, all I need to know to be the first one to tell me what time the game start on Saturday.
That's tough. That's a tough
3:30
one.
Saturday.
But the man shot up.
Hey, great job. Guys, I want to remind you to win stuff. All you have to do is come down here on Wednesday at 6 p.m. at the Greene Turtle Sports Bar and Grill. Guys, let's get back into it. We're going to wrap it up so we go into player questions. Yes, I got you. How much time I got? Oh, let's keep rolling. Guys, we are preparing for TCU. Alex, they're coming in here. As I mentioned, they're coming in here 3:30. They'll be staying somewhere outside of town. Mountaineers will be preparing for them. What do we do to win the game Saturday?
I think we got to keep doing what we've been doing. It's going to be important, I believe, to start fast, get the crowd into the game early, no stupid mistakes, particularly on special teams, run the ball, control the clock. If they want to start trying to gang up on us in the running game, then we can start spreading it out a little bit. But I'd like to see us come out and assert ourselves early on with the running game, control this clock, and keep that explosive TCU offense off the field.
Gary, what do you think?
Score more points.
All right, Troy, what do you think? What do we got to do this Saturday?
Holgerson always says we need to average one more yard per play than the other team, and that's going to eventually propel your offense or say something about your defense. Either way, if you're doing that, of course, we averaged double the yardage against Texas Tech. I don't see that happening again because TCU has always had a relatively good defense compared to the other Big 12 squads. But I could definitely see us putting up some points this week, especially with the confidence that our offense has going in. That could be pretty dangerous for anybody who lines up on the other side of that ball. So I'm anxious to see how we come out and how that fire that we lit last game continues to burn, and I think it's gonna be a pretty exciting Saturday here in Morgantown.
I agree with you. Well, that's enough from us. We're gonna pass it over to you guys at this point. At this portion of the show, we're gonna ask you fans to ask us questions, and we'll answer them to the best of our ability. So if you would, we got a mic for them, and we're gonna give some stuff away to you. We got some shirts over here. So if you ask the questions, we'll get your shirt. Let's go. Any questions? Any questions? We got a big game this upcoming week. Big game.
Somebody's got a question out there. I know they do.
Got to have a question. We're 5-0. There you go.
We got a question over here.
Question.
I've never seen an actual horned frog.
Have I ever seen a horned frog? That's a good question. I have not.
Is there an actual such a thing as a horned frog?
It's a lizard. It's a lizard.
Lizard?
A lizard that it shoots blood out of its eyes.
What?
That's its mechanism of defense. It's called a horned frog, but it's actually a lizard, like a bearded dragon. If you guys have ever seen one of those,
Mm-hmm.
It looks very similar to that, a little bit wider, and its defense mechanism is shooting blood out of its eyes. It
wow.
two streams of blood.
So I haven't.
Luckily, they don't have a live mascot because me and him got into it. I don't want to have to deal with that.
I hear you.
Come down here, you catch footballs, you talk football, and you learn something.
Yeah, absolutely. There you go. You heard that.
Reptile defense
man.
mechanism.
That's right.
Yeah.
Shooting blood out of his eyes.
Yeah. Have you ever come across one?
And we also learned that the Mountaineer goes to a tailor to
Yes.
fix his outfit.
Yes.
I don't know that I would admit that. I would say I sewed it up with my sewing kit.
I don't have. It's all the essentials that I have here. The dorm life, man. You can't. You got room for a sewing machine or nothing. I don't have thread. That's why I got to be home. I'm 3.5 hours from home. I can't run to my grandma's house. She's the one who always did that stuff for me. Man. I had to fly out to Texas. I got a big hole in my pants. I said, what am I going to do? I said, I got to take these down to wherever I took them and get them fixed. I just took them to this person. They're like,
There you go. There you go. Any more questions? Again, guys, this is an opportunity for you to ask us questions. The reason why we do this show, you have former Mountaineers here to answer questions opposed to catching them by the water cooler. You can come catch them at our show and ask them what do they think about our team. Yes, sir.
I like to know what would you probably let the coach know, about this game that's coming up. Like, what advice would you give a coach to actually give the players so they can be really pumped and ready to go for this game? What kind of advice would you give?
Good question. Alex, what kind of advice did the coach give the guys? Pep talk.
Just keep doing what you're doing. I think that the mentality of this team, so much of this game is in between the ears, and the mentality of this team, I really like it right now. The way we've won some tough games, some close games, had a little bit of luck. It seems like things are starting to come together. So just keep doing what you're doing. You look at the top 20 or 30 teams, the talent on those teams, aside from maybe Alabama and Ohio State, everybody pretty much looks the same. It's just the team's got the right mindset, the right mentality, and that usually starts with the head coach and the leadership on the team. So just keep doing what you're doing.
What do you think, Troy? What does the coach tell his team?
Yeah, stay focused. That's going to be the key. That's going to be the key coming up this week. Like he was saying, that everybody, there's a lot of similarities between the teams other than, those 5 that are at the top undefeated. Of course, we're in that conversation still. We're undefeated. But, yeah, you got to separate yourselves. And at the point now that we're at in the game of football, you have to do that on a mental level because everybody's playing at such a high athletic ability. And you got to reiterate that to your team that, not only on Friday night get focused, but start getting focused right now. Start getting focused yesterday, and make yourselves ready and see yourself winning this game because I think on Saturday night we'll be celebrating the Mountaineer victory.
What do you think, Gary?
I wouldn't tell my team to do anything more than what they were doing the last few games. I would try to do anything I could to remind them of just how much they progressed during the season. I would try to show them clips of sort of what they looked like game 1 and game 2 and what they looked like last week. Try to remind them that they are a good football team. I would, just like a father, I would continue to try to instill confidence and say, look at what you've been doing. I'm really proud of you. You've done a great job. And I would remind them of that 41-10 loss last year and remind them coming on your home field, on your home turf, and there's a chance to get some get back.
Gary, do you remember here in 1994 we started off 1-4?
No.
Right? We played. You came to year.
I was, yeah.
Okay.
I watched you guys then. I definitely remember that 1-4 start.
We were preparing to play Syracuse, right? And there was really nothing the coach could tell us, right? You know when you get in that zone where you know what you need to do,
right?
And the coach will come up there, he'll stand in front of he'll do his little team thing, he'll talk a little bit, then he allows the players to come in that room, and the players, the best speech you can say is not very little at all, right?
Right.
We know what to do.
You already know.
Right? We already know what to do. We want to be there. We don't want a long speech.
That's it.
We want to be able to know what the task is. And boy, I remember we played Syracuse, and we were in the locker room, and I ended up putting the whole defense in the shower.
Yeah.
It was 3 guys in the middle. The rest of the team was in this shower, and we simply said, we know what we got to do.
That's
right?
it.
And that's it. I think that's the mentality of this team. Every weekend, the week out, they know they have something to prove, and they will step out there and perform at the top of their ability. Good question. Good question. Any more questions? Yes, sir. Appreciate the questions. That was a great question.
Hey, guys. So, great show. So, the age-old question with nurture, nature, I like our team whenever we're the hardest hitting team.
Right.
And it's obvious when they come out and they put a helmet on people. So, do the coaches play a role in who, if a team shows up and they're putting a helmet on somebody, or is that just the players and who they are? It's a new group of guys this year, or do the coaches actually step up and get players psyched to put a helmet on some people?
Yeah, I think the coaches recruit the players, number one, but it is a mentality, and that's why I said I kind of like where this team's at, the mentality of this team, that we're going to be hard-nosed, we're going to get back to some of the Mountaineer roots of playing defense and not getting in these shootout games where we're going to score 50 points and hold them to 48 points. The defense is taking some pride. We're not going to let that kind of stuff happen anymore. So, hopefully we can do that against some of these better teams. But, I believe it does start at the top. It starts with the coaches, and it's an attitude. Gibby obviously is imparting that attitude on his players, and, I'm sure it makes these defensive guys proud.
Absolutely it does. There's a phrase that Coach Gibby always says. He says he likes his team to play with a hard edge. You ever heard him say that? I like them to play with a hard edge. And that's the language that we communicate in, right?
That's right.
Defensive guys,
that's right.
We want to be given the authority to play with that hard edge and be able to be physical, right? That's what I like about defense, Troy. I like the fact I'm getting goosebumps right now because I want to be physical. I don't want, even if I make a mistake, don't come jacking me up because I done pop somebody in the mouth. Let me be a physical football player, and Coach Gibby is that type of guy. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think our plan going in on defense is to be aggressive because the way the Big 12 scores points, every now and again they're going to have a big hitter or a big play go down the field. But if you can limit them, keep making big plays at the line of scrimmage and don't let your defense get on their heels. You can afford a big play every now and again, but just don't let the defense get on their heels. Stay aggressive, get in front of the ball, play forward, and I think that's something that starts from the top. It is definitely part of the coaches. That's something that starts as a team being a community. It's the coach's mentality, it's the player's mentality. It all kind of manifests itself, and you see everybody out there wanting to put a helmet on a helmet because they want to do it for the guy next to them, and they want to do it for the guy that's been teaching them how to do that, the last couple of months.
Protecting your defense a little bit with your offense, being able to have a running game and having that hard edge on both sides of the balls where, you're not in these shootout kind of games. You get a little bit of a lead and you pound the other team into submission.
What you got, Gary?
you know, players work hard during this off season. They squat real hard. They do all the intangibles to become good football players. As much as you may grow up and say, I want to be the star quarterback, not everybody's going to be that. Not everybody's going to be the guy who catches the pass. Even receivers, though, you think about Hines, what you get from football players is, yeah, the game's tough. I want to be tough. And so I think it comes from the players, but I think you have coaches who turn that on and who say, you know what, this is what I want from you. I don't care what you have to do to win, and I may accept you getting the penalty once a game, once ever so often, but I may accept you getting that because you worked real hard, you're trying so hard to do what it takes to make our team winners. So I think it's a combination of both. I mean, obviously they recruit the players that want to hit hard. Why? Because when you that rubs off, you know what I mean? When I was a younger guy watching JT and watching Van Washington and Chuck, I was loving the way that they were out there hitting. I played with a guy, Damon Cogdell. I can literally remember the first time I was close to him and he hit somebody. I felt it. It was like I felt the power, and I was so excited. I was like, "Oh my God, let's go!" You know. And me and Barry Greene would get on the sideline, like, "Okay, let's do something real quick." So I think you have that just innate in the player, but when you have the coach that says, go ahead, I'm going to turn you loose. Go ahead and just do what you want to do. Be wild. I won't jack you up for missing the tackle, missing the play. Then, that makes it that much more worthwhile for the player. So I think ultimately it does come from the top, and you have to commend the coaches that allow their team to be like that.
That was a great question. Great question. Any more questions? Okay. All righty. Guys, again. Okay, what you got?
I gotta ask this. I mean, do you think they're gonna win? That's what we want to know. As fans and all of that, all this small talk. I'm sorry, bro, but all this, will they win, man?
We suspect they will win. We are Mountaineers.
About how much? Because I'm betting on this game.
You must be a gambler.
Okay. Well, we will win?
We will win. We will win.
Okay, I'll use. Okay, that's
Thank
enough.
you, sir.
That's all I need.
All right.
Hey, what you got anything on it?
All right,
thank you.
Got one over there.
What you got?
I think everybody wants to know what happened to Josh Lambert. Does anybody know? Do you guys know what happened while he's off the team?
Nah, I don't know.
Have you? Nobody's heard?
It'd be a guess. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm guessing it's some kind of. I didn't even want to venture a guess, but
That's the thing. It's
some kind of
it's just a
discipline
guess.
issue or something. I don't know.
Alex, I asked your mom if that was an appropriate question. She said, "Hell yeah, she's wondering too."
Yeah, that's fine by me. I don't know the answer to it, though.
Yeah. Well, great. Hey, guys, I want to thank you all for coming out. Certainly want to thank Troy for coming out. You guys give it up for Troy, the Mountaineer. Coming out. Thank you, Troy.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. That was a blast.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind you that we're here every Wednesday at 6 p.m. at the Greene Turtle Sports Bar and Grill. Make sure you come out and check us out and bring a friend. Until next time, huddle up.